Hello and welcome to Titans of Gaia. This character is called the Huntress, and this whole project is set in an alternative Victorian era which I call Neo Victoria. This is a steampunk themed character, and so I've tried to create various costume designs. I tried to do the likeness of a friend called Karen Bell. I tried to make it look like her. With my style of drawing, it's not meant to be photorealistic, it's meant to be a quirky representation, a caricature of that person I'm trying to draw. Sometimes it can look like that person I'm trying to represent, other times it looks nothing like them. In this case, I just couldn't do it. And I remember messaging her and apologising, and she just laughed it off and said it's okay, thanks anyway. In the end, when I did start sculpting, I decided at the time I'm not going to use any of these designs. I didn't even use the likeness. I chose a made up face, and I gave the character very curly hair, and I just wanted to do something quite different. So if she's wearing a Victorian dress, if she's going to use a bow and arrow, then a string from the bow would get caught on her clothes. I started thinking about all these little things. I didn't give her a dress in the end, I gave her a cloak and hood, but the clothes completely changed. The thing is though, it's not a complete waste of time. I can still actually use these designs from the sketchbook. They were the foundations. I still got those pictures in my mind of what I want to do with this character. And also, since there are different drawings, different designs, I can bring them forward to different characters. It's not a waste of time at all. The face, I'm using Super Sculpey. I'm using steel ball bearings with the eyes. I know it looks hilariously bad at first. Then you start seeing it turn into an actual face. With this sculpting process, I'm using Apoxie Sculpt, which is an epoxy putty, a two-part compound. When mixed together, you can use it for up to 3 hours until it hardens by itself. It's great stuff. I've mentioned that in previous videos, but I just thought I'd mention it again just in case you haven't seen them or you've forgotten. I use different tools and it depends on what I'm trying to do. So here the figure is actually attached to the base so I could move it around and sculpt from different angles. I usually lay the clay on and then use a tool to press it down, move it, cut it and shape it. My regret about all these sculptures that I made for this particular project is that I made it smaller than I wanted. I can't remember how far into the project when I realised. I remember thinking, oh, I don't know about this, I should have made it bigger. But you know what, I just carried on with it, went with it. I know there are artists who can make really super small sculptures, but I don't sculpt at such a tiny scale. So I just wish I made it a little bit bigger. I think I would have done a much better job. So with this leg, I'm trying to make it look like leather, and it's difficult. So I'm trying to achieve detail, trying to create creases that you get in the clothes. So I put in strips of clay in and then blend it in, then use isopropyl alcohol to blend it in with the dental tool. This whole process is very slow, but it's very worth it. I use a Dremel, and you can see that when I'm carving into it, the epoxy dust is being sucked downwards. It's because there's a vacuum underneath it. This is a very, very healthy way to carve because I'm not breathing any of it in, and it's completely safe. This is called a scroll saw, and it's very handy. It's a little bit like using a sewing machine, except it's a blade. I use MDF, and I made 2 of these, and I glued them together with PVA glue, also known as wood glue. It dries rock solid. After it dries, I go back in, I tidy it up with a sanding bit and sanding paper and a polishing tool. Then I temporarily glue it to a bar just to see what it looks like. Now this part, you see me sculpting an arm. It took me ages and ages to position this arm, the bow and the hands. They took about 3 or 4 attempts in getting it right. See the fingers are slightly wide apart so that the arrow can fit in between. I wanted it to look like she's wearing special kind of gloves. Hands are really difficult to draw and even more difficult to sculpt. I got there eventually, although it was a bit of a headache though. And then I go back in with a Dremel again to tidy it up. Then I use different bits to do the right job. Now I'm making miniature buckles and straps using wire. I use a bunch of super glue. When you see me using a spray, by the way, it's called an activator. So when you use the super glue, you spray and it dries instantly. This is fake leather string, which I wrapped around these different parts of the model and glued it on with super glue. The thing is with sculpture is that you can take forever working on a project. You can keep going on and on and on, but sometimes you know you just got to stop. And this is fake leather string which I used to make it look like straps. Then I glued on these little buckles just to give it that much bit of realism, you know. I know it's not very neat. So when I was doing it, I wasn't being 100% precise. What I mean is I didn't take a lot of time refining all the details because I wanted it almost like an elaborate sketch. When I say an elaborate sketch, you can tell when a drawing isn't a completely polished, refined drawing. Okay, because you can see little flaws in there. This is exactly the kind of thing I did for this sculpture project. It's unrefined, that's what I'd say. This is a plastic tube and I wrapped it in clay and straps again. Shop, these little beads that are glued on. All these little things add to the detail, you know. And if you're wondering what I'm doing here, so I discovered that if you mix super glue with baking powder, it turns into like rock solid cement, and it's a great trick. So using baking powder, super glue and activator all together, it's just really good for model making. Bloody messy though. So, oh, and by the way, this is actually an arrow case that I'm trying to make here. I didn't want to do anything too detailed. Now I'm trying to glue it to the shoulder. Sometimes getting it into a certain position is kind of awkward, but super glue and activator are very helpful. Now I'm making arrows. Now I use cocktail sticks, which I got from eBay, and plastic card, which is thin and easy to cut with a very sharp knife. And yeah, I just use a biro to draw the arrows and cut them out. Instead of using feathers, I just use bits of paper, split the wood at the end and glue it with PVA glue. This wood is very soft, so it is very easy to cut. I'm just tidying it up now using epoxy putty. Now here is the completed piece. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to catch you again soon in the next part. Take care and stay awesome.